Disclaimer: this video is produced for educative purposes only. The user is not liable for any damages that may potentially be caused by using the demonstrations shown here. Hello, my name is Jack Wertz, and this video is for the use of education purposes for the class of ICS 382 Computer Security over at Metropolitan State University in downtown St. Paul and taught by Professor Faisal Khalil. In the following video, I'll be discussing security measures that are utilized in the following systems, including Windows, Microsoft OS or Apple, Ubuntu, and UNIX, and which ones between the four makes them quite unique and which one stands out the most of these. Okay. And also, I'll be providing examples about each system individually throughout the video to see how they function at least. With that, let's get started on the first one, Windows then. So we start with Windows Defender Smart Screen, which is actually a block at first sight and helps protect employees if they ever visit a site that was previously reported to contain any phishing, malware, and to prevent those things, from downloading potential malicious files on the internet. It also protects against any fake advertisements, scam sites, and drive-by attacks. Windows Defender Application Guard is this function works while whitelisting. If the site isn't trusted, Application Guard will open its container, completely blocking access to memory, local storage, corporate network endpoints, other installed applications, or other resources that attacker has interest in the local computer. In the user account access control, it protects users by preventing malware from damaging a machine and helps organizations deploy a better managed desktop. It can also block automatic installations of unauthorized apps and prevent accidental changes to the systems in your settings there. In Windows Defense Device Guard, it involves the drive and application whitelisting as this feature changes from a mode where apps are trusted unless blocked by an antivirus solution to mode where the OS trusts only apps authorized by an enterprise. Now there's two components. One is the kernel mode. KMCI protects the kernel mode processes and drivers from zero-day attacks and other vulnerabilities using the HPCI. And the second one is the user mode code integrity UMCI that achieves PC lockdown for enterprise using only trusted apps. And so using Windows BitLocker or Defender Exploit Guard provides exploit protection, attack surface reduction rules, network protection, and control folder access, and provides the legacy app protection, including arbitrary code, code guard, blocking low integrity images, blocking untrusted fonts, and exploiting address filtering. And so in Microsoft BitLocker now, it helps mitigate unauthorized data access by enhancing a file in system protections and renders data data inaccessible if the computers are decommissioned or recycled. And so the last one here, Microsoft Defender Credential Guard, is used virtualization-based security to isolate secrets so that only privileged system softwares can access and protecting from credential theft attacks. This enables this feature, offers hardware security and better protection against advanced persistent threats. Okay. And so I see here. So this is where I usually check my security measures in my system or computer. So I go to my work, type here to search here, and then I just type in Windows Defender or Windows Security. This is what brings me up here first. Okay. And as you can see here, it shows me the security at a glance of a look here at how my PC is doing here. So I'm all good. Green checks means I'm good. I'm malicious free here, and keep scrolling down right here, and it'll show me like more things. It'll tell me if I need more actions for protection for my PC, right? So I'm making sure you got firewall here. You got add and process control. I leave these by default when I first got this PC a few years back. And so this is a good PC I've been using now. So I have no problem with it unless it's getting a little slow, but I restart my computer every so often to refresh or reboot the PC power or system so that will perform better performances in the meanwhile. So yeah, just make sure I got anything else. And also let's see here now. I also look up on the Windows firewall and just check to see I make sure I need some changes out of it there too. So I'm connected to a private network, so I'm not gonna show you what it is. Guess public network. I would usually go to a private networks because it's safer that way if you're at the house or whoever home you're in now. Troubleshoot my network. If I need to troubleshoot things for security here, or going that it's gonna shoot my network, which I'm not. This is not what I'm talking about here. So I was gonna show you that here is for device manager. This is what I want to show you here. It shows us everything I need to do to fix things up or whatever I have right here at least. So there's a lot of options to look at security measures here in this here. Pretty amazing or useful how they are. So yes, me. And so for the next topic here, we're going to Apple or Mac system here. So the features has on there is one, file vault. It's not turned on by default though, but it's easy to set up that way. It's a layer of encryption built into a Mac OS by protecting the user data when a device is lost or stolen or whatever may happen to it if someone happens to it. So it is best to use a disk encryption to keep attackers from accessing your data. And the software updates, next one down, is make sure to have at least the latest patches and security updates by checking an update on the Mac OS software, since they are critical nowadays when hackers can inject malicious code into existing software and post it on the web that way. In SIP or system integrated protection here, it protects the core operating system just like a bank vault or the heart of Mac OS. These protect one of the following parts of the system, which is /system/usr/bin/ and then /sbin, and then apps that are pre-installed with OS X. And then Gatekeeper, it allows IT designate where users can download their applications form, blocking potential harmful applications from being downloaded accidentally. And they tend to block apps created by malware developers, no good, and verify that apps haven't been tampered with since they were signed. And the Gatekeeper can also block an app that from being installed if the app was designed by an unknown developer. So it's pretty anonymous, if you ask me. File quarantine is actually strictly aware of applications that are download files from the internet or receive files from other external sources. So when a person opens a file received from through a quarantine through a quarantine aware application, OS X warns the person where the file came from. Therefore, clicking cancel if any and have any doubts about its safety. So click down, just click cancel the app. X Protect is an automatic anti-malware utility that prevents malicious software and or often outdated vulnerable plugins such as Java and Flash from running on Mac. App Store apps is available in the App Store and always evaluated by Apple, and only Apple approved resources are available. It does not have the only ability to remove an app ability, but it can also revoke developer certificate indefinitely. So that's pretty neat to have something like that, right? So sandboxing, it ensures that apps do not share data from the system or one another. It is efficient in protecting systems and users by limiting the privileges of an app to its intended functionality and increasing the difficulty for malicious software to compromise users' systems. And privacy controls, there's another link to it though. So it's available for users in IT to designate that can let users know when location services are used, which apps have access to contracts or calendars, and what information is being shared with Apple and or other app developers here. Okay. So I went and checked over Apple security measures here. I just checked this website here because I previously don't own a Mac or Apple system before, but this seems like it's pretty much reliable and see how they manage to give things information for those who are new to Apple users or current or veterans or whoever owned them before. So, however, I think this is the most interesting fact here when you look for privacy here or security overview. It shows that everything has capabilities in the system at least. It'll tell you what needs to do or if there's some regulations you got to put it on with. But this is a good website to look up if you're having any doubts with Apple systems, because I have Windows right here. I don't own a Mac or OS before, but I use it from previous schools before years past, and that was my first computer I ever used since then. So Okay, the next system is actually Ubuntu. Now, this is isn't the most difficult system to take control for security. Hardening is a straightforward process. It's the generic term which is a kernel and has several distributions, where Ubuntu is one of the Linux systems I'll get to that later, which is the desktop-based operating system. Okay, so just box with them here. There's no need for antivirus in the system here because most users who own Ubuntu think that having an antivirus on the desktop is a total waste of time, so no use for that. But while when networked with the Windows box, the software is usable since it prevents infected files from being accidentally sent over to a Windows user. But other than that, though, it is completely pointless. In fact, the user is far more likely to run into trouble by running commands or bash scripts through an antivirus software is going to protect the user in the area, though. So a firewall, be mindful. Be mindful of your ports in case for a firewall here, okay? Because make sure that UFW command is set to block any ports that are being used on a regular basis. The idea behind this is setting up a firewall to block unwanted connections in such common sense. So in this case, if an application or a protocol doesn't have a good reason to be connected, in this case, chances are you might play safe and block that connection if that's not helpful enough. Patch installation. Security patches are designed to address vulnerabilities in the code of running the computer. Ignore these updates and not patching the system will result in exposing yourself and potentially others to harmful, and then should you fall victim to an unpatched exploit. So be sure to keep checking on the updates there. So again, you gotta be aware of those things. It's probably the easiest way to harden the Ubuntu installation to ensure that you must keep up the updates in a saved manner. So browser extensions, it's a little risky, and Firefox implemented an extension signing. This is critical to remember that installing extensions from random websites may cause trouble. To fully harden your browsing experience, you could opt to forego all non-open source extensions entirely. So Java nowadays isn't a big threat to anyone using a desktop operating system because it's commonly used as a programming language using a multi-code to across platform operations. So the positive side, most of the malware is coming from a rogue Java download that is completely junk or trash. And simply to avoid those things or these shitty practices that you should not. So if you avoid these shitty practices though, then you should not have to concern yourself with Java specific malware. So phishing, be cautious, okay? When all of a sudden, like in order to harden your Ubuntu install, you must be cautious when clicking on any link on the page. So when all of a sudden, like for example, being when all of a sudden being presented with a request to relog in through let's say Facebook, for example, okay, again to the service you're using, you should stop. Close the browser and browse to the site in questions and manually see if you need to log in. Take classic Facebook again, for example, game I said before. There's a special link that appears to be a Facebook login. Without thinking, you might wonder, like, if Facebook timed out and needs to be logged back in. But no, this is a social media phishing scheme. That's the practice how it is right there. So I never owned a Ubuntu before. This website seems like it's pretty useful to see how it shows many clearly coded information to see how you need to be dedicated to protecting your system and security at all costs, no matter what, though. So I'm at that official website of Ubuntu here, so it just shows you these many things or facts, like how it's very useful here. You can just keep scrolling down here at least. And there's also some command lines I want to provide here too as well for Ubuntu and Linux too, because they're the same distributions actually. So if you quite catch where I'm going here, so I'll show you some examples later in a few moments or two. Okay. Linux. Oh, here we go now. Fourth one. It is commonly used operating system is a tool for web-facing computers and took over the digital world in the early years and never let up since then. So this is why Linux server security is crucial to data security. Pretty neat, if you ask me. So covered to the top security best practice here, it has strong unique passwords. So requirements such at least 10 characters plus requirements for using official characters and or upper and lowercase characters. So there are many crucial features it offers, such as like the two-factor authentication, password generators, and cloud password storages. And Bitwarden, LastPass, and NPass and dash lines are probably the best options available for use. So examine your options thoroughly to ensure that you find something meets your unique needs here. And you gotta generate your SSH key pair because it's worth implementing besides strong passwords, stronger methods of logging into private servers because these systems are more difficult to hack through brute force. Before so, it's important to understand a reason that you can implement them instead of the standard username and password setup. This method is also more complex than SSH key pairs. Should be it should be one of the first measures implemented when adopting a proactive server security strategy. Update your software regularly because like to properly manage your Linux security includes implementing regular software patches to address emerging vulnerabilities. Unfortunately, many Linux server users neglect to put these patches into action. Without prompt updates, software can become exploitable and easy for hackers to use to gain access. And so beware of that kind of scenarios here. You can also avoid like unnecessary software that can be tempting to add to a system, but they're not truly necessary to have at least. So the approach could lead to considerable security concerns in the long run. So over time, even the most efficient systems can become bogged down and bloated from unused, impractical, or redundant programs. So it's wise to do a system-wide audit of all the software at least once a year. By making simple commitment, you can optimize your server and keep it running at peak efficiency, even if you add new programs. So disabling broad botting from external devices, though, beware that malicious parties can easily use external devices such as a USB thumb drive, like this here, I got right here, that's the example of that here, to gain access to sensitive information. So disable booting for external devices may reduce the potential for physical attacks, which can be used for damaging and hacking. Close hidden ports or open ports because you gotta close them because they can reveal network architecture information while extending like attack services. So ports should be closed immediately that are not absolutely needed for at least. So scan logs with fail to ban because brute force unfortunately are common in Linux servers. They often succeed not because like their malicious parties these, but only because of a sheer lack of preventative measures beyond slightly moved improved password protection status, I should say. With this feature, it alters the firewall rules to ban any address that has attempted to log in a specific number of times. And email alerts can now provide warning attacks to ensure that the server is brought under control as quickly as possible. So backups are essential for Linux servers here. So in the event of intrusion, these can ensure that critical data remains accessible. They are particularly available in the event that can ensure that critical data remains accessible. Yeah, they are available in the event of a ransomware attack. While they cannot outright prevent ransomware issues, they can ensure that in the worst case scenario, the damage is limited by retaining access to essential data. The application rsync is a popular option for backing up data in Linux. It comes with a host. It comes with a host of features that allows you to make daily backups or exclude certain files from being copied. It is notoriously versatile and therefore a great option for vast aware of Linux servers security strategy. So that's a plus side right there. And perform security audits. Look, it cannot be protected forever, so do not relax yet whatsoever. Okay, it is the most security server there is, but again, it cannot be protected for all time being. So it will eventually become vulnerable to new hazards. So if not, update on a regular basis. So beware of that kind of stuff like that. So I listed some commands up here to show that I've listed some commands up here that in the following Linux commands here. So in case you're wondering what these are here. So I got information that regards to how to use commands here if you're using like a Ubuntu, Linux, or even possibly Unix here. So I scroll down here. Enable the firewall. Apply default restricted policy by running the following command. Manually open the ports that you want to be used by running here. Rootkits are the most dangerous threats on a computer. So install check rootkit and can help detect known rootkits. So use the following command right here. Then run sudo chk rootkit. And top commands go on top. Then check your SEL Linux status, enable it if needed. So do the following things here. If the command if getting a command not found error, you can install this by running this found command right here. Then run sc linux -activate. Then check history if you want to check any source of user activity in the system. And this is the following command I presented in the presentation before in the black keys here. So generate a SSH key and password in the following commands here. You can pause the video here too if you need to focus on the notes here as well. So you just update your software regularly and then check up the software on a regular basis if you need to. So it's important for that. Upgrade, an update here. Enabling automatic updates here. If someone has failed to manually update on their own. Avoid unnecessary software again. It causes problems if they're not needed here. Disabling booting from external devices like a USB drive here, for example, here. Okay. Close any unnecessary ports or hidden ports as well. That's pretty much the most critical thing to set up or maybe disable here. Scan log files with fail to ban. So the following commands, you just install fail to ban on CentOS 7. That's a different version of a Linux or Ubuntu system here. So that's what I get. Lastly, utilize backups and test them often. Use the following commands. And that's it for command right here. There's a link I provided in the UNIX system for in the bottom here. Shows like many information I got it from. Like you can see some commands here and other information that if you're quite unsure of here. And again, I never own a single Linux system or any kind here, so actually no again. So final thoughts of the systems I provided myself. So by looking at the 4 ships that I discussed, like the majority of people, I think from as far as I know, they have Windows 10 or maybe like previous versions of Windows in your system in their local here as their personal laptops or desktop use for home and or work uses. So my opinion here that on Windows is that it's a useful system here in general. It to keep security and protect from incoming attacks, but it has some flaws here and there. So I want to address them right now. But for most people who never use a Ubuntu system, or it will be the most efficient system of protection. And yes, I never owned one before. I did in practice in other classes before in the past, though. I just never owned one. I just rely on Windows 10. But generally speaking, Linux here is the overall efficient system to be used as a defender. Without a doubt, though, the system is packed with defensive mechanisms that other systems don't have in their systems, or maybe their profession or possessions, I should say. Yeah, with many unique features, it holds that the rest, Linux could conquer anything that stands in this path that way. And again, this is just my personal thought here, how I explain these things here, which thoughts you can conquer enough. Even though most people today, though, would start on using either Windows 10 or a Mac system, it seems that we should evolve using an enhanced performing system to better understand newer technology and perhaps like newer systems we can probably use in the future, though, for better safety practices, though. And if I'm correct, this is my works cited page. I simply got the work from here, so for copyright purposes, so I did in fact did a good site MLA site right here. So, well, this is into my discussion. This concludes my discussion on computer system, which ones has the best security measures here. So, thank you for your time listening, and have a wonderful night or day too. Yeah.